In today's episode, I'm joined by Matt Winzenried, a real estate professional with nearly 20 years in the business from Madison, Wisconsin. We dig into how AI is helping his agents save time, spark creativity, and tell more impactful stories. If you're serious and staying ahead in real estate, leveraging AI, this conversation is a must. Let's get into it. Are you a real estate agent eager to unlock the power of AI to boost your productivity and scale your business? Then you're in the right place. Welcome to Real Estate AI Flash, the weekly podcast that takes AI from a buzzword to a business tool, making it approachable and actionable for agents like you. I'm your host, Rajiv Sajja, and each week I interview agents from across the country who are using AI to transform their careers. Join us on this journey to become an AI skilled agent and take your real estate career to the next level. Now let's get to this episode. Well, welcome to another episode of Real Estate AI Flash. And today I have Matt Winzenried, team lead at Matt Winzenried Realty Partners and co-owner of Realty Executives Cooper Spranzi in the Madison, Wisconsin residential real estate market. Matt, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, Rajiv, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I mean, you and I met in Dallas at the 1000-watt brand summit, and you were talking to me about stuff you're doing with AI, and I thought that was very valuable to get you on the podcast. So can't wait to dive into it. But I'd love for the listening audience to get to know Matt. So talk us through your background and bring us to today.
Yeah, so and it was a pleasure meeting you at the 1000-watt conference, an awesome conference, and yeah, I love talking about technology and AI. So when we got a chance just to connect a little bit. Yeah, it was a fun conversation. So thanks for taking the time. And again, thanks for having me on. So I'm originally from Madison, Wisconsin, born and raised here, snuck away, went to school up at the University of Minnesota, but came back. And while I was at school at Minnesota, one of my roommates, their parents are realtors, and they're like, you should get into real estate. You should get into real estate. And I look at them and politely, I was like, that's okay. And in my head, I'm thinking, I'm going to school so I can get a real job. So like not real estate. So I moved back to Madison. The economy was kind of tough, and I kind of fell into real estate, and that was 2006. So for almost 20 years, I've been selling, and along the way, I've been able to go from a solo agent to building a team to getting up to 13 people on my team to now part owner of the brokerage that I've been with, and a couple other irons in the fire around real estate. So I'm so thankful that I've fallen into this as a career and been able to meet some great people as far as clients, and then also at different conferences getting to know some great people across the country and across the world. So very grateful for this career and for this industry.
Yeah, no, I think you bring a very unique perspective as you share that story. It occurred to me that you're an agent. Obviously, you still probably help clients buy and sell, but you're also a team lead and then also a broker, co-owner. So you wear like three hats, right? So we're going to get into that in a little bit. But so talking about AI, what was your first like light bulb moment with AI for you?
Yeah, it's funny because, a lot of what people like get in on AI with is like listing descriptions. And so it was probably, I don't know, almost 2 years ago that all we did was just punch in an address. And, we didn't know what you're doing. You're just in there. We're all in the office. We're like, hey, take a look at this. And I wouldn't consider myself an early adopter on technology as a whole, but certain things like, that there's something big going on here. And so I was pretty quick to like start playing around with AI. So we punched in an address of a local home, and the description I wrote was like incredible. We're like, what is going on here? 4-bedroom, 3-bath, gourmet kitchen. And they're like, this is crazy. Then we went to check the accuracy of it. It's like, well, it's not quite a 4-bedroom. I wouldn't call that like a gourmet kitchen, but the concept was there that you're like, oh, there's something here. And again, with that, all we did was just punch in the address. And so at that point, I was like, that's interesting. And so I continued to follow and kind of play around with it. But the biggest, I guess, aha for me, or biggest, like, this is the real deal, was when you could start taking photos. So I took a photo of a couple of my team members, and it said, describe this image. And it's like, it appears to be like two men, one with a beard, in a modern office, presumably real estate related. And, and it's like, at that moment when it was, I didn't even expect it to be like, modern office. It's like, there's two guys in this photo. It was all I expected. the response, but for it to be give the amount of detail that it did and pick up that it might have been like some kind of real estate office and stuff. And I'm like, all right, this is the real deal. Like this is something that's going to be a game changer.
Yeah. No, I mean, and imagine where we were like 2 years ago, and now it seems like it's the exponential rate at which AI is evolving is crazy. I'm sure you've seen the recent image creation stuff that you can do with ChatGPT. And, Sam Altman, I sort of follow a few people, including him, and his tweets are very interesting. And he mentioned something about in 2022, when they first launched ChatGPT, they went to a million users in the first 5 days, which looking back wasn't much, right? Considering where they went to 100 million in 60 days. But recently, when they launched the image model, they added a new million users in an hour.
Yeah,
So, I mean, it is clearly another ChatGPT moment for image creation, right? In so many ways. So I'd love to dig into some of your specific use cases that you use and what you're teaching your agents as a team lead, as well as a broker owner. Let's get into it.
Yeah. And I listened to your podcast and I love the tips that that your guests have been able to share. And I take note of those too. And a lot of them is very tactical. It's like, oh, I'm going to use this to craft an email, or I'm going to use this to analyze data. And I use it for all those things as well. But what I think sometimes people forget is you can also use it for fun within real estate, even if it's for my team or my brokerage. And so when Hey Gen is an app that you can use to twin yourself and make a video. So I'm playing around with that. And so I ended up sending an email to my team, just talking about the upcoming events that we have coming up and a couple different announcements. And just want to send it out to see their reaction, and ended with saying beep boop, like if I was a robot. And I send it out, and the reaction we got, I mean, everybody's responding just hilarious, like, that's so weird. I knew it was you, but it wasn't you. Something was up. And so just like the buzz that it got internally was just a lot of fun doing it that way. Right now people are like, well, use it to create 7 pieces of content and send it out on Instagram and Facebook. And yeah, you can use it for that type of stuff for sure, but also think through other fun aspects that you can use AI for, even internally within real estate. Maybe you do have a client that you're really, you click with pretty well. So you kind of take a chance and send out a video like that to one of those clients. Another way I recently used it just for fun is we have a WhatsApp group that we celebrate our wins in. So if somebody gets an accepted offer or just had a great listing appointment or something like that, we'll post in there. And one of my team members ended up getting an accepted offer. So I asked the AI within WhatsApp to create an image of a blonde hair guy hitting a game-winning home run, and people celebrating around him, kind of to look like this team member. So I sent it out, and everybody's just laughing at like, what is going on? Who is this guy? What's happening? But it's just a fun way to use AI within the industry. And I think I look for opportunities to do that. And then at the same time, I'm honing my skills and then deciding, well, is this a way I want to use it for, out-facing, consumer-facing communications or use cases. And so some of it, you just have some fun. But you mentioned like the new image capabilities. Again, just want to play around with it, a little early adopter. We had some raffle prizes for a sales contest. And so the day they announced that the images were there in ChatGPT, on my way to the office, and I love the just be able to talk to ChatGPT like that. For me, has been a game changer alone. So I could create for me a raffle prize flyer around giving away Apple iPods, and create for me. So on my way to the office, talking to it, it created awesome imagery. They're all kind of created within our brand style. Looked like if I created in Canva, taking 45 minutes. And by the time I got to the office, I had 5 of these flyers set up for them to be able to decide what raffle prizes they want to put their raffle tickets into. So,
yeah, you bring up a very interesting point. I mean, I think a lot of us have gravitated to using AI, whether it's professionally or even personally. And I think it brings up a certain level of creativity juices for all of us, versus only the designers had creative juices and everybody else was just visualizing it. Now you could create whatever you can visualize, you can sort of create it. And it sort of democratizes the whole process, right? Which is interesting.
Yeah, and for me, we have somebody on our team that does like graphic design and so it's not going to replace her, right? But it's like, hey, learn this so that frees up more of your time, right? And find the right prompt so it produces within our brand guidelines or within our color scheme and stuff like that. So, I don't look at it as like, oh, now I'm going to save $1 from not, getting rid of an employee. I'm just like, this is a tool that now that employee can use to level up her game and level up what we're doing to our customers.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting. I think even image creation, I mean, as your designer starts to embrace it, AI powered designers will do a lot more than people that are not AI powered.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
And I was talking to an agent the other day, and they said, I have a VA team that they offshore a lot of things to. And they've incorporated interviewing them on the level of AI use before they even onboard them as a VA.
Yeah, right.
Right? Because, I mean, you could spend 10 hours to do something or 2 hours to do the same thing if you knew how to use AI. So I think you bring up a good point. I think it's going to elevate and really give back the gift of time so we can actually invest time in the things that matter, which are client relationships, agent relationships in your case. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I want to share another story, kind of how we use AI just for fun within the office. So I was taking my team. We hit some goals last year, so I took them to Cancun, and one of the team members were asking if had read online that the pool was closed. Right. So I know you're going to have simple.ai. Is that what it is?
Yeah, next week.
Yeah. So from your tips, I had started playing around with that. Had simple.ai call the hotel and call them in Spanish and ask them if the pool is open. And then at the same time, I asked them to check my reservation to make sure I had a balcony and if we needed to make reservations for the restaurants. And it made the calls and sent the transcript back and let me know that the pool was open. I have a balcony in my room and we didn't need to make reservations for dinner at our resort. So that stuff to me is fun. It's a time saver, but AI, and I know it's been mentioned before on some of your podcasts too. It's not always 100% accurate. Another fun story is that I had ChatGPT review my lease because our exterior door broke, and I wanted to see, is that my responsibility to fix or is that my landlord's? And Chat responded with, I call my voice ChatGPT chat. He responded with, it's on the landlord's responsibility. So I go back to landlord. It's like, hey, this is on your responsibility. Can you fix it? Like, no, it's not. And here it is in the lease. So I go back to chat. It's like, hey, man, you missed this. He's like, oh, yeah, further along in the lease, it shows that you're responsible for exterior doors or something like that. I'm like, dude, I need you to write a response apologizing for this. So I had chat write me an email that I sent to the landlord apologizing for our mistake and that we'll get the door fixed and stuff like that. So even with, like you mentioned, somebody using offshore AI, offshore VAs using AI, you also got to double check some of this stuff too. Even as smart as it is, there's certain things that might slip through the cracks that might not be 100% accurate. So we're still at the point where we still need the verify, trust but verify, I think. But at some point, it's probably going to be, almost 100% on a lot of that stuff.
It's getting there slowly but surely. Interesting you bring up Simple AI. On April 23rd, we had Catherine Lee, the CEO of Simple AI, on my podcast. So you should reference that episode.
I already missed it. Oh,
yeah. Well, that's coming. It's coming. We're obviously recording this prior to that date, but it's coming. It's the next week. So, the other piece that's interesting you mentioned is, you talked about simple, and then you talked about hallucinations, ability for it to not clearly state facts. One of the prompts that has helped me, especially in high pressure situations like contracts and leases, is asking ChatGPT after its response, saying, what is your confidence on your response on a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is high, 1 is low? And sometimes then it kind of goes back and says, oops. So before you take it, whatever it spits out for granted, and human is always in the loop, ask it for a confidence score. And sometimes it's given me 9.5 on 10 versus 1 or low number. So there's something there. Push it. Don't take its answers for facts, right? Your point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what else are you working on, Matt?
Boy, just continue to play around with anything that kind of makes sense. For us, it's been mostly everything's going through ChatGPT right now. I mean, we played around a little bit with Gemini. You talked about use case of Gemini and being able to find ingredients for something. So when I was on on spring break, I asked where the nearest place was to get some simple syrup for a drink I wanted to make, and what the ingredients I needed for it, and then where I could find it. So playing around with some of that stuff, and then seeing how best I can incorporate it into the business segment of things. And then just kind of more like video editing and some more practical stuff that's been covered in the past. But the thing again with all this is that, this afternoon there could be a new release or something could come that will be another new game changer. So it's moving, it's so fast that for me, again, I'd like to be kind of late stage of early adopting, and if you're not right now, it just feels like it's going to happen so fast that you blink and you're going to miss it or feel like you're so far behind. And it's just like, could be daunting. So just trying to pay attention to what's going down. And honestly, I'm in your Instagram broadcast blast, and even today you sent out some great tips there that was new to me. So just paying attention to that and other thought leaders in the industry.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that. I mean, I think our listeners, majority are agents that listen to this podcast, and some broker owners as well. And I don't think they should feel FOMO that they're not keeping up with AI, because nobody is. Okay. Except for the few hundred people in California and a couple of people in China, maybe not. But what they should feel FOMO is not starting their journey with AI, so they shouldn't feel the same way they feel today at this time next year.
Yeah.
Right? So start your own journey, and I tell people, don't fall in love with the tool, fall in love with what you want to automate in your business to free up time, and then the tool will emerge. Like we're big into video, there's ChatGPT may not be the right one for video editing. But there will be some things that will emerge, and like presentations. I do a lot of presentations, and I gravitated to Gamma for presentations because it literally can build a presentation in less than 10 minutes with prompts. So again, if you do a lot of stuff and you know what drains your time, that's when you want to investigate and find the right tool. But starting with ChatGPT is definitely, you're not going to fall behind on kind of automating some components of it. Have you played with deep research at all, Matt?
Yeah, I'll hit that button. I was actually practical case of using it. I was trying to find out if there was asbestos in siding of homes built in 1920s. So I hit the deep research button and ran through and got some good information on that based on that. But again, just kind of trying to figure out what use cases to use that for, and so just playing around with that just yesterday.
I'll give you one that I've recently used that resonates with all your agents that have Google My Business pages. So what we did was, this agent had pretty good reviews. They wanted to rank higher on Google for search terms like top real estate agent in Madison, Wisconsin, whatever those terms are. So the deep research, I used Gemini for it just because it was accessible to all the agents. It was free. It still is free for a personal Google account, but you can obviously do it, and all solutions have deep research now. With ChatGPT, it's paid. Perplexity has it. Grok has it. And the prompt was a detailed prompt that basically said, evaluate my strengths and weaknesses from my Google My Business page with the intent that I want to rank for these search terms, and tell me what I'm doing well and tell me what I need to do to elevate my chances. And it came up with 10 suggestions in a 20-page report. It evaluated all the competitors. I mean, that's insights, that's research that I couldn't pay somebody to do that.
Right. Yeah.
So there's so many use cases.
Yeah, I'm going to do that right after the recording here. That's awesome.
And same thing, when we talked at Summit, one of the use cases we used was for recruiting, right?
Yeah.
When you talk about attracting agents, finding your value proposition and aligning your strengths with people you're recruiting from, their weaknesses, to have personalized conversations. So all that is driven by deep research.
And I even just did, just what the commission splits at a competitor was. So I asked, hey, and I'm trying to remember if I push deep research button or not, but it's like, what can you find out about X, franchise or locally? And it found, hey, this franchise in Wisconsin offers these commission structures out there, right? And so it's like, hard to actually find that on paper or on some websites. So for it, just be able to dig through and at least give me an overview, a general idea as to what that is. So then when I go into an appointment, as far as recruiting goes, that's one thing I do from time to time. I at least have an idea of how do we compare as far as
for sure. And to your point, I mean, just because it does the research doesn't mean it is 100% accurate, because it's going off of sources. Like in the deep research findings, it lists the sources it got the data from. And sometimes those sources could be a Reddit post by somebody that's upset. So you got to obviously validate it, but it gets you
Mhm.
to the finish line very quickly.
Yeah, right. And we did talk about, even at the summit, talk about how you can, have AI give you the right questions to ask, and have do the research on that person, make sure that, and then from there, hey, what questions should I ask, and how can I entice them with, with the idea of joining our firm and making
Here's another one that we could. I've not tried this, but as we're talking, it came to my mind now. Like if you let's say you're recruiting me, right? I'm in your market, different brokerage. Obviously, you could do the commission splits, etc. But you could also technically give my online profiles to deep research and say, create a research report on Rajiv's personality, likings, dislikes, based on whatever they've shared on, whatever. And if you have a bigger online presence, that report will be more valuable. I'm going to run that right after this, actually, on somebody.
Yeah, right. And the other thought too I had was like, can you pull like a disc profile or something like that? And it's like,
Yeah.
all right, is Rajiv a high I, or a driver? And then like, so I can cater my whole presentation, my whole time based on that personality, or give me questions to ask, or give me use cases to share with somebody who's in the high I, or what can I share about my brokerage that would connect well with that disc profile based on the research they've done to find out more about this person.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think there's so much intel. I think deep research was one of my big takeaways of 2024. Google obviously launched it. Now everybody has it. So that's great. So, as we wind down, I'd love to ask my podcast guests two questions just to know your background, but also people that listen love your references and your messages, obviously. So you've been in the industry close to 20 years, right?
Mhm.
2006 to 2024, that journey. So if you were a new agent today, what would be your recommendation to your younger self, Matt?
Just in general, or just with
Anything,
oh,
whatever is
sure.
the biggest piece of advice you'd give yourself.
Yeah, the biggest piece is surround yourself with like-minded people, right?
Mm.
And then if you're at a firm, you just want to be able to get to people who are going to be have that abundance mentality and be willing to take you underneath their arm and their wing, just be able to share with you what they've already learned, just the kind of shortcut that learning experience that you would have to do on your own if you didn't have somebody there. So whether you're on a team or a part of a brokerage that has people who are willing just to share some insight, share some experience, and just help you along that way. So honestly, that's what I was able to stumble upon right away, and just be able to be around some great people at different levels, whether they're just new, just like myself, but are willing to like mastermind,
Yeah.
or somebody that's a level or two ahead of me with where they've been able to grow their business, and be all open with sharing how they've been able to take those next steps.
Yeah, that's solid advice. Solid advice. I mean, community is a big piece for new agents that are obviously beginning, but also masterminding with the right people that have already, how do you go through a minefield? You follow somebody, right? I
Right.
mean, right.
Mhm.
So that's great advice. So the final question I have is, I don't know if you're a book or a podcast person, Matt, but
Mhm.
do you have a preference on how you consume?
Lately, it's been more podcasts than books, just based on the time I've allowed myself to have with
Yeah, and
them.
we're in the car too much time. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Moving on. So, if there's a book or a podcast that has greatly influenced you more than the others you've listened to, what would that be?
Yeah, it's funny right now. I turned some friends on to Notebook LM, and we didn't cover that, but they've been using it to recaps of their son's Little League baseball game across country. I'm in Wisconsin, they're in Arizona. So I've been listening to the Tukey Talk, their our Tukey Phoenix area baseball podcast on the recaps. But other than that, I honestly try to take a break from business stuff. I've gotten so much information I'm just processing. So when I'm in the car, a lot of times I'm listening to sports talk, or just music or something like that, just to kind of give myself a little bit of a break, because we just came from 1,000 watt. There's still lots of debrief and things I'm processing from that. So I don't necessarily need more content in my head at the moment. So it's nice to have a break. But as far as books that I intend to read, building a brand story, building story brand 2.0 from Donald Miller. I read his first one, which I
Yeah.
loved, and incorporated things. He has a 2.0 that I have on my desk that I need to crack open. And Unreasonable Hospitality is another one that
Oh,
I need
yeah.
to. It's been on my desk. I might need to just get the
Great book. For our
audio
industry. Great book
copy of
for our
that,
industry.
and just listen to it that one in the car when I have a little bit more brain space.
Yeah. Great recommendation. Sometimes we're inundated with content, right? So you need some like free up some space for your mind to just kind of think freely. So that's great advice, Matt. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you.
I can't wait to hopefully meet you again in person real soon.
I love that. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. You made it to the end. Nice. My goal with this podcast is to elevate your AI skills every week. If you found value in the show, your goal is to follow, share with a fellow agent, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and leave us a review as it helps us reach more agents like you.